Hi, my name is Garrett Christopher, and this is my YouTube channel, Garrett's Take. I've got two more of these. This is Garrett's Sports Take and Garrett's Movie Take. And for those, please check them out. Sports Take, I'm talking about football right now. It's November, so that's the one sport that's got some traction going. And Movie Take, I just saw The Eternals today. And I also reviewed another movie from a couple years back called Jojo Rabbit. So please check that out, and please archive my previous movie takes and sports takes and all that, and this one as well. I'm on hiatus from trying to get with my city and to see what I can do to learn more about and to help with the homelessness situation in the city in which I reside. Um, I've not been knocking on their door, and they're not knocking on mine. So I'm going to, at some point in time, try to get back in there. But yeah, taking a couple little trips and whatnot, and found out something a few days ago, and I thought I'd talk about it a little bit. So by the way, please visit my website, garetchristopher.com, to find out more about me. I'm a self-published author. And I just have released my fifth novel. It's the first part of a sci-fi series called The Takeover. It's also available in audiobook, and those available on iTunes and Audible. And then also I have a weekly podcast I do, available on Soundcloud and Spotify. And yeah, so please check those things out. So what happened is, sorry, it's big rats. Very big rats. But what happened is that I had a former boss of mine. I found out from his son, whom I used to work with, that he passed away. And I didn't know he was, something like that was going to happen. And Joe was probably in his, I'm going to guess, mid-70s, something like that. And the reason I'm talking about it is I want to pay a little homage, to him, first of all. Great guy. And a lot of great people that I've known have passed on. Unfortunately, as you get older, more and more people that you've kind of grown up with or whatever like that have passed on. I found out a few months back that a very good friend of mine back in high school had passed on a while ago. I got to find out more about that, and I didn't know about that type of thing. And anyway, and again, I'm not trying to skip over family members of mine that have passed on. I've lost all my grandparents. I've lost an aunt and uncle. I've lost a niece. Yeah, a lot of people in my life have passed on, so I'm not trying to minimize any of that. Just haven't talked about it before. But I think my point here that I want to make with this gentleman, Joe Amlani, was his name, is that I made it a point, maybe a year and a half ago, to mail out some letters to some people. And Joe was one of those persons. And what I wanted to do is, I hadn't spoken to Joe in a few years, right? Several, in fact. But I just felt that I never took the opportunity to really thank him for what he had done for me as a young man. I met him when I was, 25, 26, 27 years old, something like that. It's a long, long time ago. And yeah, and he employed me and then taught me a lot of things. And half of the stuff he tried to teach me, I didn't take, as sound advice. And if I'd listened to Joe on a lot of matters, financially specifically, I'd have been much better off today than I am. So for that and for a lot of other things, I wanted to thank him, not knowing when that time would come. It wasn't anything where I was saying, hey, you're on your deathbed and I want to say this to you. No, it wasn't that at all. I just wanted to put a letter together and say, hey, thanks. And I want to let you know that I recognize the fact that I didn't utilize you in this area, that I get it. You were trying to teach me some things here. You're trying to do some things for me. And I just didn't, take it to heart. I didn't heed what you were trying to lay out there, but I want you to know I appreciate you and I love you, and I'm glad I did that. If I hadn't done that, then finding out, like I did a few days ago from his son, that he'd passed on, it still bothers me, of course, because a great guy, also for his family. I know his kids, his wife to a degree, and a lot of the people that I worked alongside, that worked for him for a number of years. I worked for that company for a long, long time. And so I know that everyone's hurting, and some of them were very, very close to him, very, very close to him. So for all of that, I feel bad, but I'm glad that I wrote that letter. And I wrote some other letters to some other people too, just letting them know that, hey, I missed this. You were trying to set me up for success in some way, and I missed it. Or, hey, I never said this. Let me just put it in writing. Not that I couldn't have called them or texted them, but I just felt that I wanted to make it a little more more meaningful, I guess. I want to stand out a little bit in terms of, hey, this is how much I love about you. I'm going to put a stamp on this baby and mail it to you so you get it. And I want you to have that. And whether you decide to light the flame and burn it up, or if you want to read through it, and, oddly enough, no one responded to those letters. So either they didn't know who I was, and like, who's this guy again? Or, for whatever reason, it didn't matter. It was intended. There was no like self-addressed, envelope, inside there, right? To come back to me. Not at all. It was definitely a one-sided, hey, I want to let you know what I'm thinking. So my point here is twofold. First of all, to Joe's family and all of the friends and people that I worked with over the years with that company, it's a big loss. Big loss. This man had a heart of gold. He would do anything for you. Anything for you. And you had to prove to him that you weren't worthy of his time and attention. I mean, you had to really prove it, because he gave people a lot of chances over and over and over again. I mean, he hired me at a time when he saw something in me, and he did. Man, that little speck of gold could be miles down in the ground, and he would somehow spot it. He would spot it, and he would, say, okay, I can't whistle. Wheel him in, and he would start the digging to try and find that one little speck of gold in that person. I was one of them, and he did that, and what a treasure, great kids, and he took a company that was doing okay and made it into it doubled at least in size under his, maybe tripled, maybe quadrupled actually, and now it's a main staple in the Inland Empire in Southern California because of his vision and some other people that were involved for a number of years. But more than that, more than success as far as all that, he taught me a lot of things, and I think that when I'm thinking of any kind of organization, be it when I'm doing my movie take, I'm thinking about the different writers and producers sitting at a table and coming together. He would do that, right? Weekly, we had to sit down and talk about stuff. And he wanted to hear what you had to say. That adage about 2 years in one mouth. He had that going on before I even knew about that saying. This man, he knew in his mind, trust me, Joe knew in his mind what he wanted to see. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew the decision he wanted to make, but he wanted to hear what others had to say, and not just to make you feel like you were part of the equation, but because you may have had a different point of view that might steer him to a different way. And he listened. He listened very well, and he talked very well. That man loved to talk. But it's a classy guy. Classy guy. He took care of people. And whether you were, someone who sat in the boardroom with him, or you were someone who just started last week and you were working the fry station, he's going to say hello. Joe was never going to walk. There's a lot of companies where the COOs, CEOs, whatever, they'll walk right by you, and they see you every day, or they know who you are, and they won't say a word because they're too busy. Joe would never do that. He'd always make it a point to say hello and make sure, not because he wanted to be acknowledged, he wanted you to know that he was acknowledging you, that he appreciated, because he understood that it was in the people, right? And those of you who knew Joe know what I'm talking about. It was all about the people. Yeah, great guy. So, you don't know Joe, right? But you know someone, school teacher, co-worker, family, friend. You know someone that you haven't spoken to for a while because of distance, because you no longer work in the same company or business, because you just haven't picked up the phone, because life gets in the way. We all get busy, understood. But I'd encourage you, if you think of that person occasionally, maybe you haven't talked to them in 10 years, but you think about them occasionally, send them a note. Send them a little something, because you never know what may come around the pike. And it wouldn't be a bad idea just to let them know that you appreciate them. They appreciate that. Now, you know what? Every time I see that commercial, I think about you. Every time I drive that road and look at that whatever, I think about you. Just wanted you to know that. And maybe they won't return the text or the call or the letter. So be it. I'm telling you right now. Joe, I miss you. But I'm really glad that I sent you the letter so that you knew from my own handwriting. Did I type it? No, I typed it. My handwriting's horrible. I typed it. But I signed it. How I felt about you. I really wanted to express that. And now I'm better for it, for doing that. And definitely now I feel like, okay, I can exhale because this young man, he knew what I thought of him. He knew that I appreciated him. So yeah, I would encourage you to do that. Even if it's someone that, maybe, in one case I was a little embarrassed. And as years went on, I thought about, man, I really did that. I really did that. And yet I wanted to lay it out there. Hey, I recognize the fact that I was an idiot for doing this. Just want to let you know that I get it now. I know it's been 20 years, but I get it now. You're trying to help me out. And I want to say thanks, Yeah, the person may have crumbled the thing. I was, what an idiot. Crumbled it up and threw it in the trash. Okay, so be it. What they do with it, it's a gift, right? So what they do with it, it's no consequence. I wanted to put it out there. I'd encourage you to do the same. My name is Garrett Christopher. This is my YouTube channel, Garrett's Take. And I have no idea when I'm going to be getting back in and talking about homelessness and that kind of a thing. But in the meantime,